It was the year 1985. In a remote village in the northern part of Bangladesh, there was an old landlord's house. Surrounded by dense forest and with broken walls and trees growing through the gaps in the roof, the villagers called the house Black Building. People used to say that no one who went there would ever return. No one dared to walk there at night.
A remote village in the northern part of Bangladesh is called Kathalbari. Surrounded by dense forests, narrow muddy roads and dilapidated huts. Here stands a terrible building. The villagers call it the Black Building. It is said that even if you pronounce the name of this house, bad luck will descend. If someone passes by it by mistake after dusk, they will never be seen again. About 100 years ago, the landlord Rudranarayan lived here. He was a tyrant. He used to enjoy himself by sucking the blood of his subjects. It is said that about 50 farmers were forced to work to build his house, many of whom died in the process. The landlord had only one daughter, Mairani. The villagers said that Mairani was beautiful but kind. She secretly fell in love with a young man from the village. But Rudranarayan became furious when he found out about it. One new moon night, the landlord killed his entire family, including his daughter. They left their bodies inside the building to scare the villagers. No one has set foot inside the house since that night. Years have passed. The walls of the building are covered in moss, the roof has collapsed, and the forest has covered the area. But at night, the villagers swear that they can still hear crying, screaming, and whispering from inside. An old man in the village, Munshi Abdul Karim, often scares the younger ones by saying, "Once you go to that house, you can't go back." The landlord's bloodshot eyes still roam there. There is a look of terror in his eyes, as if he has seen something with his own eyes. But no one dares to ask. Just at this time, 3 adventurers arrive from Dhaka. Rashid, a student of the history department of the university, does not believe in superstitions. Nadia, Rashid's classmate, curious but very timid. Imran, their friend, a little cheerful, but scared inside. Their goal, to uncover the mystery of the Black Building. Upon reaching the village, they meet the old Munshi. The Munshi gives them a stern warning: "You are city boys and girls. These games are not for you. If you want to live, don't even mention the name of that building." But Rashid smiles slightly and says, "Munshi Sahib, it's all folk tales. I will find out the truth." The Munshi sighs and says, "You don't understand, Rashid, that house is cursed. Whoever leaves, never returns." When evening falls, they see the building standing like a black shadow from a distance. A soft light seems to be flickering and fading somewhere inside the window. Nadia says slowly, "Rashid, what do you see?" "It seems like someone is inside," Rashid replies firmly. "We will enter there tomorrow night." Imran says in a trembling voice, "What if Munshi's words are true?" Rashid opens his eyes and looks at the dilapidated building. A strange smile forms on his lips. "If it's true, we'll see with our own eyes." The camera slowly zooms into the Black Building, and a bone-chilling whisper comes from inside, "Come,
Did you
come."
hear that?
Kathalbari village in
What
the
was that?
morning. The sky is cloudy. There is a strange chill
hear
in
that?
the air. Even though the villagers
What
have
was
gone
that?
to work in the fields, no one dares to look towards the building.
Did you hear that?
3 friends, Rashid,
What was that?
Nadia, and Imran, are sitting in a small tea shop in the
Did you
middle
hear
of
that?
the village. People around them
What
are
was that?
watching them with curious eyes. Munshi Abdul
Did
Karim
you hear
came
that?
forward, leaning on a stick.
What was that?
His eyes were bloodshot, as if last night's whispers were still
Did you hear
ringing
that?
in his ears. He motioned
What
for
was
the
that?
three of them to sit down and said, "You have come from
Did
the
you hear
city
that?
to do research. But
What
I
was
say,
that?
don't go there. That building is not only
Did you
haunted,
hear that?
it is cursed." Rashid
What was
frowned
that?
and said, "But Munshi Sahib, someone or the
Did you hear
other
that?
has to find out the truth. What
What
if
was
it is
that?
just superstition?" Munshi shuddered.
Did you hear
His
that?
voice slowly rose. "It's
What was
not
that?
superstition, Father. I saw it myself.
Did you hear that?
25 years ago, 3 young men from
What
the
was that?
village went inside. In the morning, we only
you hear
found
that?
their clothes, but we never found their
What
bodies."
was that?
Nadia shivered in fear. Imran
Did you hear
laughed
that?
and said, "Hey,
What
Dadabai,
was that?
maybe they ran away and went somewhere else?" Munshi
Did you hear
looked
that?
at him with wide eyes. "I
What
would
was
have
that?
been happy if they could have run away. But even now at night,
Did you hear that?
I hear their screams." Then
What
he
was that?
suddenly fell silent, as if he was afraid to say something.
Did you hear that?
Towards afternoon, Rashid decided,
What was that?
"We will go inside tonight. There are
you
cameras
hear that?
and lanterns, and I will keep a notebook.
What was that?
Everything will be documented." Nadia
hear that?
objected in fear. "Are you crazy?
What was that?
Munshi warned you so many times."
Did you
But
hear that?
Rashid was adamant. Although
What was
Imran
that?
hesitated a little, he finally agreed. As
Did you hear
evening
that?
fell, they stood in front of the building.
What was that?
All around, the sound of foxes' hookahs, the sound
hear
of
that?
crows flapping their wings in the wind.
What was that?
The huge door of the house was broken and rusted.
Did you hear
Black
that?
marks on it looked like dried blood.
What was that?
Shadows were moving here and there on the windows.
Did you hear
Nadia
that?
stopped, her voice trembling.
What was that?
"Rashid, I don't feel well. It's like someone is looking
Did you hear
inside."
that?
Rashid replied,
What was that?
"Take courage. History is standing before us."
Did you hear that?
Imran said with a trembling voice,
What was that?
pretending to be joking. "Look, if a ghost comes,
you hear that?
I'll run away first." They
What was
lit the
that?
lantern and entered. As soon as they pushed the door
Did you hear
open,
that?
a cold breeze came out from inside,
What was that?
as if a long-closed grave had been opened. The building
you hear
was
that?
dark, the walls were broken, and
What was
moonlight
that?
was filtering in through the gaps in the roof.
Did you hear
Whispers
that?
were coming from somewhere in the distance,
What
but
was
it was
that?
impossible to understand what was being said. Nadia
hear that?
stopped. "Do you hear?
What was
Who
that?
is talking?" Rashid shook his head and said,
Did you hear that?
"It's the sound of some wind.
What was
Don't
that?
be afraid." But suddenly, a stone
Did you hear
rolled
that?
down the broken stairs upstairs.
What was that?
The sound echoed around. The three of them looked
Did you hear
together,
that?
but there was no one on the stairs.
What was that?
Suddenly, in the dim light of the lantern, they saw
Did you hear
the
that?
old pictures on the wall. Even
What was
though
that?
the dust had accumulated, the eyes in the pictures had become unusually
that?
bright. All three of them fell
What was that?
silent together. Because the eyes in the pictures were looking
Did you
at
hear
them
that?
together. Nadia said in a
What was that?
trembling voice, "Rashid, the pictures are moving."
Did you hear that?
A child's cry came from the
What was that?
corridor behind. The wind was blowing through the broken windows into the building, but the wind was as cold as a grave. Silence all around, only the dusty walls were shimmering in the light of the lanterns. The three of them were now fixated on the pictures on the wall. The portraits of the once landlord family were still hanging on the wall. The colors had almost faded, but the eyes of the pictures were strangely sparkling. Imran whispered in fear. "Do you see? The pictures are looking at us." Nadia shivered. Rashid tried to stay firm and said, "It's nothing but the reflection of the light." But suddenly the lips of one of the pictures moved. Get out now." The three of them froze. They started moving along the corridor. As they stood in front of a small room, the sound of a child's crying came from inside. As they pushed the door open and entered, they saw an old doll lying on the dusty floor. No eyes, but an unusual crooked smile on her lips. Nadia said in a trembling voice, "This doll seems to be alive." Just then, a voice came from inside the doll. "Will you play with us?" The doll slowly moved on its own, and a cool breeze began to blow throughout the room. Imran kicked the doll away in panic. But immediately, the cries of a child and the wailing of a woman echoed around. Suddenly, strange black shadows appeared on the surrounding walls, as if someone was reaching out to grab them. Nadia shouted, "Rashid! We'll get out right now." But the door closed on its own. They desperately pushed the door, but it wouldn't open. Just then, heavy footsteps came from the darkness of the corridor. Someone was slowly coming, the clanking sound of something metallic with every step. When the light from the lantern fell into the corridor, a long shadow was seen. No head, but a bloody sword in his hand. Nadia screamed loudly. Imran sat down on his knees. Rashid stared, stunned. The shadow figure was slowly approaching. The lantern's light went out in an instant. Only a hoarse voice could be heard in the darkness. "Why did you come?" And immediately the doll's unusual laughter was heard. As the shadow figure approached the building, everything suddenly fell silent again. The light of the lantern flashed once, and in an instant the shadow figure disappeared. Rashid, Nadia, and Imran stood stunned. Suddenly, a pitiful voice came from the darkness inside. "Imran! Imran!" The voice was so clear, as if someone's invisible lips were whispering in his ear. Imran stopped in fear. "Do you hear? Someone is calling me," Nadia said in a trembling voice. No, you are hearing wrong." But this time the voice came again, clearer. "Imran, come with us." Imran seemed to be hypnotized. His eyes went blank, his lips went dry. Rashid wanted to stop him, but Imran suddenly ran towards the broken stairs at one end of the corridor. Nadia shouted, "Imran, stop!" The two of them ran after him. When they reached the end of the stairs, they saw the stairs had suddenly broken, a deep well below. Cold air was rising from the dark well, as if someone was breathing from inside. Imran's body was nowhere to be found. Only one of his shoes was lying on the edge of the stairs. Nadia cried in a trembling voice. No. Imran fell. What will we do, Rashid? Just then, a hoarse whisper was heard from inside the well. He's ours now. The voice was so cold, so eerie that Rashid's body also trembled. A blood-stained shadow figure floated above the well. In his hand was the same sword that the landlord probably used to wield against his subjects. No head, but blood was seeping from its chest. The statue slowly stood by the well. Then a voice came. One has gone, now it's your turn. Nadia sat on the ground in fear. Rashid desperately grabbed her hand and pulled her to run. They ran along the corridor, but every door seemed to be closed. Suddenly, Imran's voice was heard again around them. "Save me!" Nadia screamed and cried. Rashid stood still, not understanding, was it really Imran, or was it a hoax from the building? In the darkness, the doll's laughter was heard again. "The game has just begun." Rashid and Nadia were running at full speed. When they reached a corner of the corridor, they saw a broken cabinet. The cabinet was full of dust, cobwebs, and insects, as if no one had opened it for years. As Nadia pushed the door open with a trembling hand, an old leather-bound diary fell to the floor. Rashid began to read in a trembling voice. "Today, again, Baba punished many innocent subjects by tying them to poles. Their screams ring in my ears. Even when I scream, no one listens. This building is soaked in blood." Nadia felt a pang of pain as she read the writing. On the next page, it read, "I am Maharani, the daughter of this landlord. My love has fallen for one of the subject's sons. His name is Ishtiaq. If Baba finds out, he will kill him. But I cannot live without him." Rashid's eyes widened. He said, "So, the landlord's daughter is also involved in the curse of this house." The last page of the diary had red stains spread across it, like dried blood. It read, "We will escape tonight. But if anyone ever reads this diary again, know this, our souls are trapped inside this building. Not only did Baba kill us, he also tied our cursed souls here." The writing was suddenly unfinished. The last line was just a bloody scribble. As soon as he finished reading the diary, the corridor suddenly shook. The blood-soaked faces slowly opened their eyes and looked out from the pictures on the wall. Then, a female voice came out. "I am Maharani. Free me." Rashid and Nadia were stunned. But immediately after that voice, Imran's scream was heard again from afar. "Save me, please." Nadia cried out in fear. "Rashid, what should I do now? Maharani is asking for our help, and Imran is also alive." Rashid gritted his teeth and said, "We have to free Maharani, otherwise no one will be able to get out." And just then, the landlord's thunderous voice came from inside the building. "No one can break my curse." The air in the corridor seemed to freeze. The pages of the diary suddenly flew and spread across the floor. The writing on each page began to glow with a strange light, and as the light faded, a terrifying shadow floated. Nadia clutched Rashid's hand in terror. A huge dark figure was slowly approaching from a distance, its eyes burning like red fire. The figure declared in a trembling voice, "I am the landlord of this building. For hundreds of years, I have denied death. No one can defeat me. My blood, my curse, is bound to every brick and stone of this house." Suddenly, Imran was seen chained at the edge of the stairs. His hands and feet were cut and blood was pouring out. He shouted, "Rashid brother! Save me! They will kill me!" Nadia started crying. He has to be saved, Rashid. He is still alive. But the shadow of the landlord roared. Entering this building means death. None of you will survive. Black shadows surrounded Rashid and Nadia from all sides. Their breathing became heavy, and cruel scenes from the past flashed before their eyes. The cries of the subjects, the screams of the children, and the scenes of being burned to death in the fire. Nadia stumbled and fell to the ground. A broken chain rolled to the ground in front of her. Rashid shouted, "This chain! Maybe it was this that bound my Rani and Ishtiaq." The shadow of the landlord now stood right in front of them. He had no face, only darkness. But from that darkness roared, "Are you thinking of freeing my Rani? But know that I will imprison the soul of anyone who tries to break my curse in this building." Rashid said, "We will not give in to fear. The truth cannot be hidden." The shadow of the landlord laughed menacingly, and the surroundings shook with a sound like thunder. Suddenly, a female voice came through the wall. "Rashid! Nadia! Free me, I will show you the way." That voice was my Rani's. But the shadow of the landlord roared, "Do you want to free my daughter's soul? But first you must taste death." The surroundings were covered in darkness. Rashid and Nadia risked their lives and entered the darkest secret room of the building. Rashid and Nadia entered the darkest secret room of the building. The air was so cold that it was difficult to breathe. Dust and cobwebs were all around. The light from the lanterns had faded and dust was covering the walls, making them glow strangely. Rashid found my Rani's diary. On the last page of the diary, a map was drawn, a secret well hidden under the building where the cursed power of the landlord was limited. Nadia asked, "Will my Rani really be free if we go to this well?" Rashid replied, "Yes, but we have to be careful. The shadow of the landlord is still watching us." They started going down. As they took steps, suddenly there was a sound of wailing, baby crying, and smoke all around. Nadia lowered her voice in fear. "Rashid! I can't handle it anymore." Rashid lowered her voice. "There's nothing left, we have to go." Upon reaching the bottom of the well, they saw an ancient, small, blood-stained statue, which was directly part of the Zamandar's soul. Numerous shadows were swirling around it. Suddenly, my Rani's voice came. "Right here, in this well, free me." The shadows around the statue began to attack. Rashid threw the light of the lantern and chased the shadows away. Nadia moved towards my Rani's voice, and made a symbol on the floor according to the diary. Surprisingly, the symbol began to glow, and the light spread into the well. The shadows flew away screaming. My Rani's soul gradually became visible. Her eyes filled with tears, her face peaceful. My Rani said, "You have freed me. But be careful, the Zamandar's curse is not completely over yet." Imran's voice came from afar. "Rashid brother. I am alive, but something has entered me." Nadia stared. Imran seemed to be unusually still under the influence of an invisible force. Rashid and Nadia emerged from the well. My Rani's spirit slowly disappeared into the darkness. But the final fear did not come. In that darkness, the landlord's thunder was heard. Do you think you have been freed? But my shadow is still with you. Rashid lowered his voice and said to Nadia, we must be careful now. More terrible events await. Although my Rani was free, the curse of the building had not completely subsided. Rashid and Nadia left the well and started walking towards the corridor. Strange shadows were moving around with every step. The walls seemed to breathe. In the light of the lantern, Imran was seen standing near the stairs, but his eyes were red, his body unusually stiff. Nadia shouted, Imran! What happened to you? Imran's voice was faint, but there was no trace of a human in his voice. You won't throw me away. We are all part of the building now. Suddenly, the shadows around them rushed towards them. Rashid held the lantern forward and said, Quick, Nadia! We will get out. They tried to open the doors, but each door was closing on its own. A whisper came out. There's no escaping now. Nadia began to tremble, holding her hand, and Imran was slowly spreading around under the influence of an invisible force. Imran's body suddenly became blurred. Rashid shouted, Imran! Tell me where you are. But there was no longer anything to hear in his voice. Imran's eyes were completely red now, and he was not like a human being, but like a cursed shadow. Nadia screamed and cried. We've lost him, he's a danger to us now. Rashid and Nadia reached the end of the corridor. There was a secret window there, which was probably the only way out of the building. The lantern light went out. There were only shadows, whispers, and the baby's cries around. Rashid grabbed Nadia's hand and said, Look, if we hold on to each other, we can survive. Run! They ran to the window. Suddenly, a huge shadow rushed towards them from behind. The two of them jumped out of the window together. Nadia's tears and body shaking with fear. Rashid held himself tightly, but Imran's screams were still coming out. The shadow was whispering in a low voice. If you let them live, they will also be imprisoned by my curse. Even though Rashid and Nadia jumped out of the window, the fear of the building had not yet left them. The surroundings were dark, the cold air was filled with the cries of children, the moans and whispers of women. Nadia said in a trembling voice, Rashid, will we really survive? Rashid lowered his voice and said, If we hold on to each other, we have to try. A little more patience. Suddenly, the landlord's huge shadow slowly appeared from the darkness. His eyes were red, his face invisible, and a blood-stained sword in his hand. The shadow roared. You showed courage. But no one can break my curse. My Rani's voice came. Rashid. Nadia, use the symbol of this well. The curse will be broken. But be careful, the landlord's shadow will not save the end. Rashid quickly drew the symbol drawn from the diary on the floor near the window. The symbol suddenly became bright, the light spread around. The shadow of the landlord screamed and backed away. The children's cries, the women's screams stopped for a moment. Suddenly Imran slowly appeared. His eyes were normal now, but his whole body was frozen. Nadia ran and grabbed him. Imran, you're alive. You're alive. Imran said with a tremor in his voice. Yes, but I am not completely free from the curse. Some invisible power is still with me. Maharani's soul gradually merged into the bright light. The shadow of the landlord also gradually became vague in the light of the well. Rashid, Nadia, and Imran knew. They survived, but some of the curse of the building would always be with them. Nadia lowered her voice and said, "Now we are safe." Rashid just nodded and replied, "Yes, but remember, all the dark forces of history never lose." As the sun rose, the building slowly fell silent. Only dust, broken windows, and the sound of birds chirping in the distance. The three slowly returned to the village, gratitude in their eyes, the scars of experience in their hearts. After Rashid and Nadia jumped out of the window, the fear of the building did not leave them. The surroundings were dark, the cold air was filled with the cries of children, the moans of women, and the whispers. Nadia said in a trembling voice, "Rashid, will we really survive?" But Rashid and Imran were gone. Nadia lowered her voice and said again, They are still inside, they are calling me." The children's cries floated in the distance, and the whispers spread through the air. As night fell, shadows slowly appeared in the windows of the building. The shadows moved strangely, as if a spirit was still active inside. Nadia felt. They are still here. I am never alone. The cries of children and the cries of women came again in the distance. The old doll suddenly put on a strange smile on its lips, as if it had witnessed all the events. The morning light comes, but the silence of the building is still not broken. The dust, the broken windows and the shadow of invisible shadows, all combine to create a mysterious terror. Nadia returns to the village alone, mentally damaged. Of the three, she is the only one who has returned, but she knows in her heart that Rashid and Imran were never fully free. The curse of the building never ends.